Sheikh Doucouré is Liverpool's new transfer target. Liverpool's carefully planned midfield rebuild looks like a chaotic hunt for existing corpses following the Saudis' push against Jordan Henderson and Fabinho. If both players leave as expected in the coming days, the Reds will have lost 6 midfield options this summer and will have signed just 2 instead. While having a smaller player pool with more usability is more important than having a ton of options that were never viable, it's a fact that the Reds will need to bring in at least 2 more midfielders. The number 6 role looks particularly weak before Fabinho's debut. Besides the Brazilian, Liverpool's only specialist defensive midfielders are Tyler Morton, who is 20 years old and has made 2 Premier League appearances. And although he looked good last season, Stefan Bajcetic is only 18 years old. Many names, from Romeo Lavia to Ryan Gravenberch, on Liverpool's transfer list. While each one comes with question marks and warnings, Melissa Reddy suggested that the Reds could pull a bunny out of a hat and surprise everyone. One such signature to fit the bill as an absolutely shocking target is Crystal Palace's Sheikh Doucouré. The 23-year-old has been called someone Jürgen Klopp and his team discovered, and could be a wild option to fill Fabinho's vacancy in Liverpool's engine room. Malili has not played for any other team in England apart from South London. But he had a quietly impressive first season in the Premier League after a £22 million transfer to Palace last summer. Doucouré played 35 times across all competitions and won the Eagles Player of the Season award ahead of the likes of Michael Olise, Abir Ease and Mark Gorhey. He received more than 25% of the popular vote. Star midfielder Roy Hodgson said, "He's been very effective. He's one of those players who plays in a position that's a bit of a mainstay of offensive midfield play and defensive midfield play. His positional sense, his ability to read the game, his technical ability and the ability to get around so well on the pitch make him effective," he said. Known as a destroyer during his time in France, the former Lens man topped Palace's tackle and tackle charts while finishing 4th overall in the Premier League. According to FBref, his interception statistics for the year place him in the 97th percentile for midfielders, while he ranks 74th for tackles. He is also in the 56th percentile in pass completion rate. In addition to his creativity stopping qualities, he contributed 3 assists at Palace in 2022-2023. As a teenager in Mali, Doucouré spent time at Academy Bamako, which included former players Amadou Haidara and Yves Bissouma. He moved to France as a teenager in 2018 and joined Lens, a club known as a hotbed for young talent and one of the country's most aggressive pressure teams. Doucouré made a debut in the 2018-2019 season and helped promote the club to League One the following year. After going to the top, he formed a good partnership with the more creative Seko Fofana. In addition to standing out as the more traditional defensive midfielder, Doucouré has also been used in a more advanced role as well as on defense. The 12-time Mali national team player was linked to Arsenal, while Palace finally earned his signing last summer. Doucouré signed a 5-year deal with the Eagles in 2022 after the South London club reportedly spent nearly £22 million on the signing. Football Transfers has set the current expected transfer value at €24.6 million. But it's hard to imagine Palace selling Player of the Season for less than a substantial markup, especially when he still has 4 years on his contract. With Southampton demanding £50 million for Romeo Lavia and Fulham asking £90 million for João Palhinha, Doucouré's real price tag could be at least double what Crystal Palace paid a year ago. Their wages, which are reported around £45,000 a week, not likely to be a problem for Liverpool. As recorded by Transfermarkt, Doucouré has only missed 4 games in his senior career due to fitness issues, despite being suspended for 9 games. This definitely shows that he is a stable player. Sam Maguire of Anfield Watch said, "Doucouré did well in the Crystal Palace system and would have made Premier League football that year, in theory, a lot easier to fit in with the Liverpool team. But his real value for the Reds would be if he could copy that form from his time at Lens. He was a controller and destroyer for the League One side and was one of the key reasons Fofana impressed as he did. He's a facilitator and Liverpool has a soft spot for those types of players." Phillips could replace Henderson. Liverpool have reportedly kept the out of Man City Calvin Phillips on their radar this summer, with Jürgen Klopp seeking midfield reform. The Reds are expected to lose Fabinho this window, and the Brazilian is absent from their pre-season tours in anticipation of a lucrative transfer to Saudi Arabian club Al Ittihad. Another player linked to trading Anfield for Saudi Arabia is captain Jordan Henderson. If it happens in two separations, there will be space in the middle of the park for complete regeneration. The Reds could choose to steal a talent from the Premier League, and City midfielder Calvin Phillips has been touted as a potential suitor to join Klopp's squad. The former Leeds United man, valued at €25.7 million by Football Transfers, has had his market cap dropped since his £45 million transfer to City last summer. Journalist James Pearce claimed that the 27-year-old player was among those considered at Anfield. Given the potential splits of the midfield duo, who are integral names in Klopp's plot, the German manager could strike a convincing deal by catching Phillips. The midfielder has valuable Premier League experience and a hunger to play after a minute-deprived season in the opening year at Etihad. The former Leeds headliner has made just 2 starts under Guardiola. The Spanish manager had far superior midfield options than City's new kid. Despite his talent and experience, Phillips remains low on the pecking order at Manchester, sparking several rumours about his future at a critical time in his career. Hailed as a destroyer by former England manager Steve McClaren, the struggling midfielder could be a star signing for the Reds should their captain leave. The Liverpool captain was associated with his move to join Steven Gerrard at Al Ittihad, leaving a potential gap where Phillips could improve. Setting aside last season, the former Leeds man was a key member of Marcelo Bielsa's promoted squad where he continued his strong performances in the top tier. In the 2021-2022 season, the £150,000 a week English player showcased his defensive strength in midfield, as highlighted by statistics via FBref. In the Premier League that year, Phillips averaged 3.1 tackles and 2.1 blocks per 90 minutes. While Henderson was a strong presence in the central midfield, the captain was significantly lacking in comparison to Phillips' defensive efforts in his final season at Elland Road. According to FBref, the 33-year-old averaged just 1.4 tackles and 1 tackle per 90 for Liverpool in the Premier League last season. At Leeds, he showed his form dropped by just 1.6 dribbles compared to Phillips' mega 3.2 per 90 minutes. Klopp could use a defensive presence in his midfield to act as Henderson's heir, which could signify a much-needed rebuild in the middle of the park.